You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Ian. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies.
This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Celebrity Apprentice After Show.
We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show.
It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Celebrity Apprentice After Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are here doing, Bing is for doing, and we are here doing another after show for The Celebrity Apprentice. Season 13, Men in Black are gonna come get him, the title of today's episode. I am Grant Rutter, and with me tonight...
Hey guys, what's up? Scott Moore here visiting with you guys.
Yeah.
This is fantastic.
Scott, awesome to have you here.
Yeah.
And hey guys, this is Nando Velasquez. Nice to meet you again. Nice to meet you guys again.
Yeah.
That sounds really formal.
Yeah, too formal for a Sunday night.
Totally.
Yes. All right, let's just get into this. We have a task here. We were presented this task. Well, both teams were presented this task at Trump Tower, promoted once again. Nice place, but it was a little, a little too much. Like it was always such a success. And then we have this short guy, Farouk, who comes out and he represents Farouk Systems, and he is presenting them with the task that they need to come up with an interactive marketing campaign featuring a glass truck. It's going to be outside, and Arsenio and Don are overlooking both teams, kind of like giving their opinion along the way. The winner can walk away with up to $100,000 and then money through Facebook likes. I don't know when we're ever going to figure out the winner of the Facebook likes, but I'm not going to be losing sleep over that.
No.
So,
that's true.
So we're presented with the task, and right away we have the people who are picking to be PMs. There's really not much of an argument on who's going to be the project manager. Over at Power, we have Claudia, and then at Plan B, Mary Lou. And I was surprised that we didn't see Gary step up. After last week, he was really kind of knocked down a second time in the boardroom for being weak, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity for him to come back swinging, or at least to try to have something to prove, but I didn't see him jumping in. So what do you think of these picks for PM?
Well, I mean, they're both people who are pretty much invisible, I think. And Claudia has she's been talking a lot this season, but really out of every single person there, and there are a lot of C-list celebrities, she's more like G-list. She's kind of farther down. So I think
she's a pretty girl, but yes,
she's pretty. But it's true. I think I had even asked her. I'm like, who is Claudia? Where's she from?
She was the Deal or No Deal girl her season, and now that show doesn't even exist. But somehow she's an all-star. Somehow she has survived. She's probably bigger than Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel is not even on Celebrity Apprentice All-Stars, but she is.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she was pretty. I didn't know she. And then, but it says next to her that she's a TV host as well. So I don't know what she's hosted.
I mean, she dropped the suitcase and she speaks now.
Oh,
she dropped.
She
doesn't have the suitcase anymore. That's what it
Get
means.
a couple words and a couple lines in there. Now you're host.
She's a comedian.
That's all it takes.
Okay, well, it's that simple in Hollywood, right? Donald is easily amused, and he does find her attractive. So I mean, she can get away with anything. Then there we go.
And really, with Farouk, come on, this is like the perfect project manager too.
Yes.
Surrounded by a bevy of beautiful women there, and
he was loving
power.
it. Oh yeah. All right. So, we have Chi, one of the Farouk Systems products, is given to Team Power with Claudia. And then on the other side, we've got BioSilk given to Mary Lou. So let's start off with Team Power. And they immediately asked Farouk what they wanted to really have in their product, and how they wanted it to come across. And their main posts of what they seemed to go by for their theme and to market was beauty and being American. And so I thought that was good because Little John, a past winner of a task from Farouk Systems, knew what to ask, but at the same time he felt very comfortable with the task, and this kind of is interesting foreshadowing for the outcome. But he really wanted to play up the idea of being American because that's how he won the original task. And Dennis immediately had the idea of them making over the homeless.
That was an interesting one.
Yes.
Yes.
I guess in a way they could have spun that into an American dream idea aspect of coming up to the ranks
From rags to
yes,
riches.
exactly.
Yeah,
you had a nice
yeah.
dramatic kind of before and after. I could kind of see that, but
I'll give it to Dennis. He's trying. What do you make of him? What do you make? He's kind of like trying more recently than he was in the beginning. Did you see the season when he was on?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean,
I did too.
he was a lot more of a wreck his first season. He is I mean, he's the Busey of his team pretty much. It's just that you can't understand a thing. At least Busey speaks perfect English, even though maybe what he's saying is not well, you understand exactly what he says. He doesn't mumble half the things. That's what I mean. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's getting treated the same way Gary is in a way, and he comes up with these crazy ideas.
He does, but I think even Dennis says it later on in this episode that he does want to be here, and it kind of shows this time that he actually did, and last time he wanted to go home. So there's a whole difference in his strategy and his playing. This
You know
time.
what? He's showing up and he's making
being
decisions.
Serious, yeah. He wants to actively be involved. Yeah.
No, I agree. So, so that was Dennis's idea, and then the overall idea that they made the decision to pursue was that the truck was going to be the star. The truck was going to showcase the star, and so they moved forth with that, even though they kind of made an alternative route to have the hairdressers be on the outside. They were going to be doing quick makeovers as well, using the product. Over on the other side, we'll break down their initial plan, and they had 3-minute makeovers as well, but they were going to have them happen inside this truck that they were going to showcase, and they also had the likes of Miss USA. And I thought that was a good move. What are your thoughts on over at Plan B?
They're smarter. I mean, I can't help but root for them a little bit more, just because they seem to be a little more functional as opposed to Power, that's a little bit more dysfunctional. And they have incredibly talented people. Yeah. So I kind of like that. I don't think we didn't really talk much about Mary Lou as project manager, but again, she's kind of invisible, other than the fact that Donna likes to remind us that she has a super memory.
Which she definitely does. I thought I had a great memory, too, but according to her.
Well, I don't know. If we have to hear about it one more time, I'm not going to be interested anymore. I don't know. It's kind of like all we've got from her. I'm like, all right, I get it. I don't know.
But hey, she was wearing her blue like I am today, so I'm repping Mary Lou today in my blue and rhyming as well. But the thing that I thought was interesting was between Plan B and Power. To me, it felt like Power had more of the splash kind of feeling, but Plan B had more of the groundwork, and the hard work in the long run made it work out as a better thing than the splashy, pretty thing that Power had that didn't work in the long run.
Now, which team asked the question that I really liked, where they asked, like, what do you want in your
that was
marketing
Claudia.
campaign?
That's what I thought was interesting, too, is that she asked, it was a very smart
Yeah.
question. She asked at the beginning, she asked, do you want it to be over the top? Do you want it to be crazy, or do you want it to be a little more conservative, like you were saying? I thought that was a really smart question on her part.
Definitely. Yeah. I thought that was going to really kind of give them an advantage.
An edge, absolutely. I'm surprised, as we find out.
Well,
necessarily.
Anyway, over at Plan B, they immediately, Steven is involved, kind of mocking Mary Lou's process of being a manager, project manager throughout the time, but Mary Lou gets on the phone and she's trying to book a Miss USA or someone that's holding a title, and he's in the background, kind of like trying to get her attention. Keeps naming Matt Rich, and we soon learn at least 6 times that Matt Rich is his publicist. Correct?
I'm amazed that he has a publicist.
We were talking
when I
about,
heard that, I'm like, oh my god, I've never seen him except for on the occasional reality show. I'm like, I don't think that's his publicist's fault, but I'm just surprised that he would hire. I'm surprised he hires a publicist.
I just hope he doesn't have his publicist on retainer there, because he's not. He needs to be getting out more, if that's the case.
I'm not bad-mouthing Matt Rich.
No, I'm not bad-mouthing him either.
Supposedly,
but I'm just saying, I hope he's not putting...
No, what I'm saying is he supposedly escorts the contestants throughout in the Miss USA pageant. So I don't know all the movements that happen with being a publicist.
Well, let me just say, I know a lot of publicists, and I respect a lot of the publicists because if they're watching this, I totally respect you. So this is not, and I don't know Matt Rich personally, but I would imagine he does his job really, really well because he obviously helped out today in this episode.
He came through.
I'm just shocked. I'm just shocked that Stephen Baldwin has a publicist. I don't know. Maybe it's his brother's publicist. Like he gets, he gets hand-me-down publicist or something, or half off. I don't know. That was like one of the bigger shocks to me.
2-for-1 deal.
I literally did a spit take. If I was drinking water, I would have done a spit take.
We were watching like, what? He has a publicist? Why?
So Mary Lou was quick to grab Miss USA, and supposedly Claudia felt that she was really quick, and she was over a course of 7 hours was trying to get in touch with getting Miss USA because she was also from Rhode Island, which is where I'm from, and supposedly I didn't know, but Claudia is from Rhode Island, and
I thought you all knew each other.
Are you on speed dial? Isn't she one of your?
Doesn't everybody know each other in Rhode Island? There's not that many people there.
It's a small state.
I will tell you, I was going home for the holidays, and I actually sat right next to the parents of Miss USA, who was then recently crowned that weekend Miss Universe. So it's such a small world, especially in Rhode Island.
You should call them up to try and get her on this show, on this podcast.
Damn number on the plane. Seriously, and they live in the same city that I live in, which is very small and just very weird. But that's Rhode Island for you. Very, very, very Rhode Island. All right, so
I know. Expect you to be like, it's neither road nor an island.
It's more just one road. It's Rhodes Island.
All right, so Scott, tell us a little bit about iTunes real fast, please.
Oh yes. Well, let's not forget about the whole fun with iTunes here. If you can't be watching us now live on the live stream, please go check us out on iTunes. Download the podcast. Rate us. Of course, you're gonna like us because how could you not like us?
You gotta like us.
I mean, come on, seriously. What's not to like? But let us know either way, so we know what you're thinking. Is there anything else I'm forgetting?
Yeah, comment. We love to get your comments.
Tell your friends.
I've written.
Yeah, definitely tell your friends.
And tell your friends. Yeah.
Yes, tell them to watch.
All right.
Download.
All right. So, flashing back to the task, Claudia's in the van. She's trying to get the creative juices flowing. She's got a rap she's trying to go on with, and trying to get these contestants to rap along with her. And Dennis isn't feeling it. He's not a rapper. He's not into it. But we get the slogan. And what was the slogan? Omarosa came up with it.
I guess it was between her and Little John. They were all kind of trying to work on it. It was "She Wants You."
Yes.
Which again, splashy. I guess that to me was more splashy than what Plan B had.
It was very bold. I thought the look was very bold. They came up.
Yeah, it's just splashier than Plan B's Experience Silk, which I think they were right when they talked about it being kind of banal and kind of boring.
I actually think the Silk Milk Company has that logo. I think it says Experience Silk.
Yeah, but it works for them.
I almost feel like that sounds like something that company does.
It was better than Live Life Luscious.
Live Life
I don't know if that does anything. But I mean, all it was literally a sticker on the black truck. I mean, on the glass truck. So I don't know if it really made a huge difference because there was no portfolio or brochure or anything that we saw. Sometimes not all of the parts of the task are shown because of time reasons, and that was in the news a couple weeks ago. So maybe there was something else, but I mean, it really was just a sticker. It really had no bearing on the task really at all. At all. So over on Plan B, we had Gary, who was the accountant, taking it very seriously. Lisa Rinna was still looking over his shoulder, though, a little unsure. Of course, Lisa had to drop her husband.
But what is she actually? That's what I was gonna say. What is she actually doing? So how is she? She can say she.
The only way she gets camera time is to get to talk about Gary Busey because he's really the star of that. As far as screen time is, he's really the star of that team.
He lost the bag of money, and it was under the sea. I kind of felt bad for him because I've been there before where you feel like you're undervalued and then you take your job very seriously to prove yourself and then you lose something so important like that and then you just
you're lost. But you're so stressed and so you're not even just thinking logically, and let's be honest, how much logic is Gary going to be thinking anyways? He's just kind of in his own world. God bless him, we love him, but that's the thing. So you're super stressed. You're trying to find something that's right in front of you, and you don't know where it is. So I did kind of feel bad for him then too.
But you know what? He cares.
Yeah,
he cares. When he gets a job, he cares. He does it to the best of his ability. It's very comical, maybe what he does, but he still gives a damn.
Well, yeah. Speaking of comical, did you like that part with the whole farting
Oh.
thing going on with
There was
not
so-
particularly.
I just thought it was silly. It was so like over the top, and then he's calling it fart stands for feeling a rectal transmission.
Yes,
Yes.
I wrote that down. I'm telling you, they need to have a book of all of these
and
things
then he can see
does.
farts. I mean, come on, like that's what I'm saying. That's so Gary. I can see farts. Okay.
He's got those eyes. I love that. I'm the angel. I wrote this down. I'm the angel of silk. Let me take you inside 5,000 miles past heaven.
Yeah, they need to
I
have
have that
just
down
like
too,
quotes
yes.
of Gary, just and put that out as a
forget
as a book.
Experience Silk. That should have been the whole thing, right there.
He needs to be a project manager sooner than later. Please.
Oh, I
mean,
hope so.
We need it.
I want him to stay on as long as possible. I don't care. He wants.
I'm sure they will to some degree.
I think people should be scared.
move
Yeah,
through.
I think people should be scared of him in the boardroom because I think Trump doesn't want to get rid of him either.
Yeah. Well, he landed on the right side of the teams. I mean, he just lucked out. I mean, he hasn't been under fire at all. Really.
He's just had to really take being the weakest link, and then Trump sends him away anyway because his team wins all the time.
So he's lucked out.
So over on when they're preparing for this task, before we get to the presentation, on Team Power, Omarosa and Dennis are going to buy the American costumes, the Uncle Sam costumes, and they're taking their time. I believe it was 4 hours to get 4 things. That was the record. And Dennis is buying a bust of
I know
Donald
that
Trump. They were taking their time.
That freaky, crazy bust of Donald Trump. I don't even know what the heck that thing was. That was weird.
That looked like a sponge.
It looked like a sponge or a cheese, like one of those.
It looked like cheese.
Things.
Yeah, it looked like cheese.
Yeah, probably fermented, really fermented, really bad.
bizarre.
Actually, great couple for Dennis. Great, great, couple for Dennis.
I know. I wish he had kept it around because I thought it was funny just to have it, or if we had it right here to put on the table.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
That'd be great.
They should give those out.
It's like a centerpiece.
That would be great. I wonder if Trump saw that afterwards. I wish they showed it to Trump in the episode. That would have been really cool.
Yeah.
But the thing too is that it seems like every time Omarosa's on any kind of Apprentice, or the first season or whatever, there's always a task where she gets to do props, and she's super lazy. And you saw her with the scarves and trying on clothes, and like this is her moment where she's away from the project manager, and she just gets to enjoy herself.
Yeah. She takes full advantage.
She did, absolutely.
Because the only thing she's like sharp for are those boardrooms. I feel like even with the tasks, like she doesn't have to work that hard because she's not up against herself. Yeah. She can do like 2 or 3 things, like to kind of like cover her ass, and that's all. She doesn't have to worry about it. I don't believe she's breaking a sweat on one of those tasks.
I think she even knows that I think when she does a task like this and she gets to goof off, she knows I'm gonna get so much camera time because I'm just looking beautiful right now, and I'm just gonna own it.
And then she'll have her little quick retorts later on in the boardroom if she needs to, and she'll just throw it back on everyone else because she's good at that. So
awesome.
So it's almost time, and they don't have Miss USA. They're trying to find other title holders. Then they get this idea about going to get the impersonators, and Donald Trump has died. The man who's doing that.
Donald Trump impersonator, yes.
I got a kick out of that.
They gave that a lot. They gave that a lot of time.
They did. They did. I almost feel like now mentioning it, the joke is so dead that like I just shouldn't even bring it up.
Because he is dead.
I think at the end of the episode they should have had in memoriam fake Donald Trump or something.
Yeah.
Well, I would have I'm sure they don't want to pay for
it. But hey, that Joan Rivers impersonator was more live than the real Joan Rivers. No, just kidding, Joan. We love you.
I couldn't figure out.
She was actually very frightening.
Between looking at Dennis running around with a silver dress on and gold lipstick, and then Joan Rivers with that wig, I didn't know who was the drag queen. I couldn't tell.
Oh my goodness!
Was that a drag queen?
At first I thought it was, but I think it's just the makeup.
Yeah.
I think the makeup.
God, please, because I thought it was. Oh gosh,
I thought the first shot looked like a drag queen, but there was another shot. I'm like, I think that's a woman. I think that's a real woman.
Ooh, that's the worst.
I will say, if you close.
Ever.
If you close your eyes, she does sound like Joan Rivers. It's just
please.
The look was bad, or at least a good Joan Rivers impersonation.
I don't know. I seen it. I saw Joan Rivers impersonate her once. I don't know, on some television show, and it was much better. But that was probably an LA-based impersonator. So I'm not sure.
Joan loves the impersonators, by the way.
Yeah,
she loves them.
I don't think that impersonator was used.
Flattery, right?
I don't think that was utilized at all.
No, that was
done at all.
No, it wasn't. That was not executed well at all.
Why was that impersonator not? Why was that impersonator not in the truck where they were taking pictures? Or like, interviewing, or it was just disconnected. It was like, who is this short old woman with a wig on?
Yeah, I agree,
tell.
because the interactive, again, I mean, they talked about interactive later on. We can get into that, but I think you're right. That probably would have made more sense to have her maybe like a red carpet type of atmosphere in the truck and have her there. I mean, I think it was big enough to do both, to have the photo shoot and to have an interview afterwards.
Yeah, you're right. That would have been a good tactic, because she just wasn't utilized in a good way.
Yeah,
it was, like you said, disjointed, disconnected. It was weird.
Yeah, she's walking around like she's Little John.
Yeah, it was weird.
So speaking of the presentations, to finish up over with Team Power, with what they featured, they had these big advertisements with the barcodes. You go to the Facebook page, and they had to point out that it was directly linked. And I thought they really did a good job with branding. What did you make of it? I really think they did. I think the focus was on the product.
It stood out.
I did. I really thought it was really well done.
Bright colors.
Splash. Yeah.
She was the first thing you saw, like at the very top of those banners, and then you saw Little John. It was very, and I love the fact that we never saw any kind of code, QR code for the other team.
No.
But these guys had that out, so I thought they nailed that, and that's important for the Facebook likes if they want to get that extra 50,000. So I thought it was great.
So when Omarosa presented the idea at the 11th hour that they should have makeovers inside the truck, what did you make of that? Do you think it was a last-minute stumble that she was trying to throw in the path of Claudia, or ass covering?
Well, I mean, she got to see what Plan B was doing, and it was supposed to be an interactive experience. It was a smart call. Omarosa's smart enough to know that if they're going to fail, she's going to throw enough indecision in there that she can say, I mentioned this.
I suggested this.
And Trump's all over that. He likes the idea, no matter what time it came in, he gets on that. So, she's smart.
She smells blood. I mean, she already had a list because of the whole Miss USA screw-up. So
it was definitely ass covering. Yeah, it was definitely ass covering. Like, she wanted to get in there. She wanted to make sure she had her idea, and if it was bad or good, whatever, she was trying to make it work at the last minute there. So,
So across the street, the other group at Plan B, Mary Lou has everything together, and she's got Gary running around in a silk suit as the Angel of Silk, and
with bubbles.
So let me think here. I really, honestly did not like her. This is just my opinion, but I didn't care for her presentation because I felt that there was no focus on the product. You had Bubbles, a man in a suit. You had fire being juggled. You had Trace Atkins standing on a truck, and the product was lost to me. And then in the boardroom, just to flash forward real quick, it was quoted that they wanted to have Farouk wants his product to be the star. That was mentioned later. And so I thought it was totally lost, and I thought that they really weren't the winning task. Now, we can go there in a minute, but what did you think of the overall presentation? I thought it was too much. I couldn't keep track.
Well, I actually agree with you, too, because if you were just going to look at it head-on between the two teams, I really thought that Power's presentation was better and was more concise and flashier and had what they were going for than Plan B's. I totally agree. It was just all over the place.
Here's the thing, and they mentioned this later on. Plan B has the more talented group. They have a singer on the team. They have a magician juggler on the team who's 6'5", so he stands out anyway. You've got Busey's entertaining in his own kind of way.
His own world.
So you've got those people. But here's the thing. I agree with you. It's very disjointed. You look at that thing and you see a country star on the top of the truck. You see Penn juggling fire. That's great to get a crowd, but they kind of take the center stage because people are like, look at the guy juggling fire. Look at Trace Atkins on the top doing a little song, strumming on his guitar a little bit, and it gets lost. At least Power had Little John in the marketing and had him dressed up. He was representing the brand. I don't think those guys were representing the brand. They weren't even dressed up. You know what would make sense if they dressed up even in some kind of corporate wear
or something. Or similar outfits or something that. It was almost like they were overcompensating with their personalities and them rather than the product.
And it doesn't help that you have Dennis Rodman coming across the street to visit, bringing people with him.
Well, he was just flirting with the girls. That's all he cared about.
I don't know. He was in a dress.
He was in his blue. I think that day he was in with the blue lipstick or something was going on.
And a silver dress. I can't keep track. I don't know. Please. Gary. Just a side note. Gary related when he spoke to Farouk when Farouk came to visit that these people were losing their virginity to the product.
I thought it was clear that you don't have Gary talk. You don't have Gary talk to any executive or to any of the Trumps or anything when they go visit the product. If you want to make it clear on what they're trying to achieve, because Gary will just make up his own stuff and go and just make it worse.
You know who's always impressed is Arsenio. No matter what, he's always like all smiles and like looking around. He's always so into it. All of them.
He's a positive guy.
He is. He is.
I love him. He's awesome.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good guy.
All right. So are we good to jump into the boardroom?
I think so.
Ideas?
Well, you know what I wanted to say actually, because they did have Gary Busey talking to Farouk, but on Power's side, you had Dennis Rodman mumbling as well. And one thing I noticed is, you don't give that man glitter on his lips because it just draws attention to his mouth, and then you can't help but want to ask him questions and listen to what he has to say.
With all the articulate people, I don't know why someone's not keeping an eye on that. The same way they're keeping an eye, like and notice they saved Miss USA to go in to get her hair, touched up or whatever when Farouk came there. They didn't waste her when they were setting up or having the first people walk in. So like the same way you're planning on that, keep an eye out for who's showing up. And I don't think Mary Lou was as scattered as we were led to believe. No. But I mean, she should have been prepared. I remember in the past that they were always ready. As soon as those people came in, they had like giveaways that they would hand to the executives. And I just feel like this season, there's not a huge focus on greeting. And I know people have been fired for that in the past by not being there for the executive and catering to them and going out with other people.
Well, I know it's a big deal in the final task when Trump usually goes to visit himself. That's always been the biggest one. I don't think they notice it as much when it's other people. It might come into light, but when it's Donald, you've got to be there for Donald. That you're trying to be his apprentice, so you have to greet him and you have to bring him around as the project manager. So I don't think it was a big deal. I just thought it was really interesting Stephen Baldwin just acting the way he was. I think because he won last week, actually, he had a little bit more of an ego trip, and that's why he was so prevalent in this episode, because I think now he's got that reality show whore syndrome. He's got his little taste. And he's going to keep going, and now he thinks he knows how to do it because he won a project in this task. Right. And he's getting. And Mary Lou's kind of easy to talk over.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And he definitely was needling her throughout the entire. Episode. Yeah.
Well, he was the only one, and this is getting into the boardroom. I mean, he mentioned it when he came in that he thought she was not focused, and he even related her to Gary. And I just think that was necessary, but no one else, even in the confessionals, you never heard Penn say like Mary Lou has just a hard time consolidating and getting things done. No one said it. Just he was all over that. And then he kept like hammering with the whole idea of getting his publicist involved. And I don't know. It was just too much of like when you only hear one person complain about someone, you wonder the validity of their statement. And so after a while, it was just really he needed to like take a break.
Stephen Baldwin's like Omarosa light. He really is, because he is trying to stir the pot, but he's doing it in such a very subtle way and not in a very strong way. That's why no one really seems to trust him, but he hasn't had to worry about the boardroom so much yet. So.
Well, and the thing that gets me is he's supposed to be very religious, and I'm sure he is, but the way he plays it is kind of like slimy, and it's just like more of a turnoff to me. At least with Omarosa, you want to see, how she's gonna go about doing it, because she's so slick.
Yeah.
And she's very successful. I'm not saying he's not successful, but I just don't. It's just more like. Not creepy, but I don't care for it. It's not like comfortable for me.
He's playing a game. I think just like Omarosa is. The thing is, you can throw the whole religious thing. For some reason, that's the one way you identify him over his brothers. Is that he's the religious one and he's the one on all the reality shows. That's the two ways to do it. So I agree with you. But that he seems slimy. But I think part of it's just an act. Because he knows that's going to get him more TV time.
Yeah, no, you're right. And you're right. They're both playing a game there, and Omarosa's doing it as well, but she does it in a different way that works very well on this show.
Well, before we get any deeper, can we discuss Claudia's outfit choice? Was this intentional or not?
Intentional.
Of course, yes. With a capital
I know. I feel the same way, but instead of me keep talking, I'm asking.
It's like just ask a straight up yes and no questions. Why not?
Yes.
I mean, she's the project manager. She wants to look good. She already knows that Farouk likes beautiful women.
And
you know what? We've seen Donald already give a little sexist remark to Brandy in the first episode. So play up the girls.
Absolutely.
Show off the girls. Let's see the twins.
But she knows how to. That's her background, modeling and everything. So she's working what she is good at.
As much as I don't know who she is or care much about her outside of Celebrity Apprentice, I was even want to keep her to stay if she's going to keep wearing outfits like that.
She wasn't even fully sat down in that chair yet, and he was already complimenting her. So he didn't waste any time, and she knew exactly what she was doing. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah. She was loving every moment of that too.
So off the bat, she identifies, and she said this is the task that Dennis and Omarosa were the weakest links of the team. And once things change, but she's quick to throw Dennis under the bus, but she didn't want to say anything about Omarosa, so it was kind of pushed that way. And Don's good for that. Now, Trump used to do that, but now he's kind of been relegated to that position where he's always gonna kind of bring up what was said in private, which I don't like too much, but it's business.
I was gonna say I don't either, but it was filmed. You know what I'm saying? It was on there. It was seen. People know, and you are gonna have to bring that up because if you said that, you should be called out on that. And not try to be changing your mind there when you're in the boardroom. Yeah,
it's not the first time I think they brought stuff like that up in that sense, but it's just so obvious, especially after last week, that no one's getting along with Omarosa. This team's very dysfunctional, and when you notice someone saying one thing and then going into boardroom and saying the exact opposite or just playing nice, it's like, well, that's not the way you've been acting this task. You've said different things. Right. So I liked it.
Yeah.
So Mary Lou identifies Gary as the weakest link again, to no one's surprise. But then going back to Steven, he summarizes after he kind of knocks Mary Lou down and kind of makes her question her validity as a project manager. Trump's like, well, she was good, right? He's like, oh, outstanding. And see, that's what didn't do it for me, because he didn't stick to his guns. I mean, she was outstanding after he ripped her for 2 hours on television.
I think he knows he's going to be there every single week. I think he's finally gotten used to it, and they say it really nicely now, so he kind of takes it. Yeah. It's, the team's so small that what else are you going to do? And until there's a fight between two other people, he's going to be always called in. So
Mary Lou wins for the Alzheimer's Association. Like it or not, they did win. There were no positive or negatives for that team, but they did give them for Team Power. And I thought that was interesting because I really wanted to see the balance of everything, especially because I thought the stronger team in this case, I think it was Power. So I wanted to see what really gave the other side the edge.
Well, yeah, and the interesting thing was too is when they said that they won by a lot. Like it was a big difference. Yeah. With Plan B, I'm like, really?
Trump in his usual
that
fashion.
Much? Yeah, being dramatic. But I was thinking like, what?
I will say though that
I could see him winning, but not by a lot.
Yeah. Well, he said they liked both teams very much, but then he said they liked one team a lot
Yeah, that's
more.
what I'm saying. Like, okay, it made no sense.
Trump's got to play up both. But I will say that this is the first episode, and you agreed with me on this, Grant. This is the first episode where you really couldn't tell who the winner was right away. I feel like the last couple of episodes, you knew within the first 25 minutes. You're like, well, we'll keep watching, but it's pretty obvious right now who's got the better idea.
This reminded me of the old Apprentice episodes, but you're really going into it. It could have went either way. There were, for every positive for one side, there was a negative, and so it really could have equaled out. I mean, if you really looked into the editing, you could probably figure out what would they be arguing about. But even the winner wouldn't be really revealed through the editing like it has been recently. At least for me, I think it's been very easy. Of course, we get to a point where it's a little predictable, but we'll get there. So the positives and negatives for the losing team. Over on Claudia's side, is the positives were Little John himself. He's a big Farouk. I guess Farouk is a fan of him, and that they really liked their slogan and their branding. And so now that sounds like, okay, so they're being judged on branding and they're being judged on the overall general experience and creativity. So all right, so those are some good And this was announced before they announced the winner, so someone would think, telling Brandy that those are some strong points.
Yeah.
And then the negatives were they didn't utilize the glass truck enough, and I knew that was going to come up because of Omarosa's little point to bring that up at when they're opening.
And it was true too. I think there could have been better use of the space because you just felt like it wasn't being used as well as it could have been.
And the other losing point, or the negative in this case, was the lack of traffic to Team Power. Now, that really wasn't part of the criteria. I mean, if it's about bringing people in, then I mean that they could have done a whole separate thing for that.
I guess they could have had a little counter and just marked off every person going in. But let's face it, the more people... Let me put it this way. If you go into a show, a comedy show, and the audience is empty, but it's a really, really funny show, does it really work for you? Or if you go to a comedy show and it's an audience full of laughing people having a good time, that's going to seem like the better show regardless of the material.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Here's the same situation. You've got two products, and there's more people at one than the other. So regardless of that, that's going to have the bigger buzz. That's going to have more hype. More people going to be drawn to it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. I mean, and if that was really the focus, was to get people in, then they did on Team Plan B win it. If that was the case,
they brought Dennis Rodman there.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a focus on the product.
Yeah.
But you could look at fire being juggled around. You could look at Trace Atkins patrolling the top of a truck. I mean, I guess.
But you're right. But bottom line is you got to get the people there, and that is kind of the whole point, because you're getting the people there. They're going to know more about the product.
Yeah.
If you have less people there, then you're not as successful getting people to know what you're all about.
Again, I still feel it was disjointed, but you got to give them credit for getting people in there, using their talents to bring people to see it.
But see, I think it was about the product more than the people.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think that was more what it was about, because it was based on marketing.
Yeah.
And branding.
I think it's a fair point.
It is a fair point on both sides, but again, if you're doing the marketing right, you got to, the branding, you got to have the people there, because then no one's going to know about your product. It could be beautiful, but if you don't have the people, no one's going to know.
If a tree falls in the forest.
Exactly.
I know, but the branding wasn't even good on Plan B.
No, I agree. I agree.
I feel like I'm Claudia now. I feel bad. Oh, too much. So after they have decided that the winning team is Plan B, now Claudia has to make a decision who she's going to bring in, and we've already identified that it was Omarosa and Dennis, and now all of a sudden it's switched up. So we've got Little John and Dennis. Dennis, of course, to no one's surprise, but Little John, one of the favorites. And then Donald even said, "Are you kidding?" And here we go again, a little repeat from the same team. Last week it was with LaToya.
You think they would have learned?
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, that was
I mean,
bad move on
if
her
you
part.
don't pick Omarosa, who you only have two other choices at this point, Brandy or Little John, and she would have been screwed either way, because she called Brandy the star.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. She did. But why? I mean, what was the reason why she was scared? Like, why would she have not brought on?
Well, they all claim they're not scared.
But that's to me, that just seemed very odd to be talking about it the whole time, saying she's the weakest link, and then turn around and bring in Little John, which it just made no sense at all.
Well, Claudia was even talking so much smack last week to Brandy in the boardroom when LaToya and Omarosa were going at it before she called people in. They were like, "Why don't you speak? You say something about what's going on." No, you do. They were doing that, and Claudia doesn't seem scared of Omarosa. I think her strategy, actually, this is what I was thinking. I think her strategy was to still bring Omarosa in, but she wanted to blindside her at the last minute. She didn't want to get Omarosa pissed off early, because if you give Omarosa ammo early in the boardroom, then Omarosa's like, okay, guess what? I know where to point my guns right now. I'm going to point them right at the person who just called me the weakest link. But unfortunately, the Trumps said, no, that's not what you said earlier. So they were the ones that were pretty much telling Omarosa where to point her venom at.
Yeah.
So you think they were asked, that Claudia was hoping they would ask her a second time the way they asked LaToya?
Well,
so
I
she
think
could kind of swap things.
I think at the end that's what she wanted, but I think what happened was she got frazzled by getting called out.
Yeah.
And if she had her way, she would have said Dennis was the weakest link, but she probably still would have brought Omarosa in with Dennis. But think of it this way. If you say Dennis Rodman's the weakest link, and then out of all those people, Trump says bring two people in. She goes, Dennis, and well, I have to bring someone else in. I'll bring Omarosa in. Omarosa's going to think that you're gunning for Dennis. Does this make sense to you? She's going to think that Claudia's gunning for Dennis and not her, and that she had to bring... She had to bring Omarosa in, and maybe, if anything, Omarosa's going to point her venom at Dennis because he's already been labeled the weakest link. But now, because the Trumps called her out, and Omarosa's like, oh, really? You called me the weakest link? That frazzled her, and that scared her. That's my theory on what happened. But here it is again. She should have learned from LaToya.
Yeah.
She didn't learn from LaToya, and she made a big mistake.
She did.
So.
Yeah, it was very bad decision on her part to bring in Little John. It just
I think Little John is going to be one of the final people standing. I think he's going to make it pretty far. Maybe not to the end, but into like single digits.
Yeah.
probably less than 3 or 4. I think
he was a favorite his first season, so I mean he deserves to be there as an all-star. He as
I
opposed
agree.
to Claudia, he deserves to be there as an all-star.
I agree. He played very well. He was very likable. He didn't play dirty, but he did what he had to do. I agree.
But
absolutely.
yeah, but by her picking him, by Claudia picking Lil Jon, she was basically signing her death warrant right there, because it was like right there, and you. All right, she's gone.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
She's gone because that was just such a bad choice.
Claudia stood up for herself, and the reason why she didn't bring back Omarosa and she brought back Dennis was because Dennis didn't participate in the rap. That was the one point. Yeah, that was her one defense the entire time. And like she was getting ready. She was like, "I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I brought back Dennis." And so I was like, I made a little tick mark here. I was like, okay, here's the reason. Here's the reason. And because he didn't participate in the rap, and then his defense was that he doesn't rap, and then White Brandy is like, I don't rap either. It was weird.
I will say her strategy to try and get Dennis out after she made that really poor choice, and even trying to get Lil Jon to team up with her to get Dennis out, I think that's what made the boardroom as long as it was. It really should have been a 30-second boardroom once they got in there, but she gave I don't want to say she gave a good argument, but she gave an entertaining argument that Donald was willing to say, okay, I'll listen to this. It sounds stupid, but I'm going to listen to it anyway.
And speaking of entertaining arguments, Dennis had his own take on things as well. What was he talking about? I mean, I'm trying to he was trying to, I guess, point the fingers, turn the tables. Trying?
He almost sealed his own fate by trying to defend her.
But I was worried for him for a couple seconds. And I'm like, great, now he's gonna get himself out.
But he's passionate. You know what? He's passionate, and Donald notices that. So even if he says the wrong thing, I think Donald wants to keep him on. Donald, again, if anyone should be scared in the boardroom of anybody, I think people should be more scared of Dennis Rodman or Gary Busey, because they are entertaining.
Absolutely.
And
they have an unfair advantage.
Yes, exactly. And no one's giving them a fair shot. And Donald knows that. And Donald, I think Donald doesn't want to get rid of them until they at least prove themselves as project manager and fail.
And I think he also sees, again, like we were saying earlier, is that he's here and he wants to be here and be part of it this time.
People who are passionate in the boardroom stay.
Unlike before, he wanted to go home. So now that he sees that, I think you're right. He wants to give him that opportunity to be able to prove himself and keep working.
Yeah.
You know who's skating by and just getting through every episode unscathed? Lisa Rinna.
Oh yeah.
What is she doing?
I know. That's what I was trying to figure out too. What does she do?
If she had a better memory, I wouldn't be able to tell between her and Mary Lou, actually.
They have the same screen time.
If only she had a better memory.
I just don't understand the point of her either. What is she
I've said this every
doing?
episode. I'm not hating on her.
No, I'm not. But I don't get the point.
Yeah, me neither. I know she was not an all-star on her season. She skated by for a while, and then she was off I think the 4th or 5th week. And so then that was it.
She was out really early. You know what? Well, she deserves to be there more than Claudia Jordan. I'm sorry. She's more of a celebrity than
Claudia is my Lisa.
I love Claudia. She looks great. She's showing the girls and everything. But All-Star Celebrity Apprentice, yeah, come on.
Well, that goes back to what I've said a lot. I need more three-dimensional people like Gary, like Omarosa, because it is the All-Star.
Claudia's pretty
you want them to step up their game if they're in the All-Stars. You want them to be up there. You know? I'm like, what is the point? That's what I kept thinking the whole time. What is she doing?
I don't doubt Claudia's bust size. No, I sound like Donald.
I said 3D. I'm not talking about the bust size. I said she's three-dimensional.
Yes. Oh, Lord. Well, I'd be more personality-wise, but yes.
I get it.
So, all right. So, I don't have any news and gossip. So, let's delve right into predictions.
Yeah.
Predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
I'll start it off. I mean, I loved what we saw from next week already. I love Pierce. I think he's awesome. You know what? I thought he was a little mean with Omarosa that first week when he was on. He's obviously gunning for her, and you can see he's surprised that Omarosa's still there after he set the groundwork. But it just seems like it's going to be another power loss, and Pierce and Omarosa are going to go at it. And at this point, unless they start switching teams up or they start adding some, moving some people from Plan B over there, I really don't see things changing. So it's going to be Omarosa fighting for her life next week, I think.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
She's a survivor too, so. I don't know.
I predict a lot of shade being thrown back and forth as well, and I'm looking forward to that. You know how much I love shade. I think the task has something to do, I think, with an art gallery.
It looked like it.
They don't even promote the tasks anymore. You have no clue. I didn't even know. Remember last week we could not remember what this task was, and when I watched the episode, hearing about these glass trucks was the first time I heard about these glass trucks.
Yeah.
Because they were not discussed at all in last week's promo.
Yeah, they don't really talk much about it, so who knows about that.
Yeah. So Gary will continue, I believe, to be the weakest.
That's what I was going to say. And I was going to say, I'm going to predict more Garyisms. So he needs to get a book out there. Someone compile all those quotes.
I know this is already all pre-taped till the finale, but I really want to see a Dennis Rodman, Gary Busey face-off as project manager.
That would be awesome, too.
Oh, yeah, that would be a good episode.
Too.
I think Donald needs to do that one year. Just ask who the weakest link is on both teams, because they're both going to say those two, and then just say, guess what? The weakest link is the project manager this week.
I would love
that.
He
can totally do it. Yeah, and that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
So it should happen. Absolutely. And Lisa Rinna will get through again.
Of course. She'll skate through.
All right, so where can we find you guys?
You can find me on Twitter at Nandovel, Nandovel.
And you'll find me at SMan80, that's SMAN80.
And I'm on Twitter as well at Grant Michael R. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.